Good morning everyone, my name is Michelle, I hope you're doing well. Welcome to another video. It is Wednesday morning the 28th of May and we're going back to Nova Scotia today. The disappearance of siblings 6-year-old Lilly and 4-year-old Jack Sullivan from Lansdowne Station in Pictou County. I had a day off the case yesterday and concentrated instead on an Irish case. Very, very peculiar, bizarre and gruesome case. That of the murder of 56-year-old farmer Michael Gain. So go and check that out if you haven't seen that video. But what we're going to do here is talk about the latest in the search for Lilly and Jack Sullivan, or rather the lack thereof. RCMP have spoken and it's bad. Let's go. Okay, before I get into the latest in Lilly and Jack's case, I just briefly want to mention the human remains that have been found in Nova Scotia. Now, there's a bunch of people missing in Nova Scotia, not just Lilly and Jack Sullivan, but I've had some people direct me to this news and I've seen other people discussing it. So it's not Lilly and Jack. I'm confident of that. The ID of the remains has not been made yet, but given its location, in my opinion, there's a strong likelihood that it's this man on your screen right here, Justin MacDonald. At least I hope it's him, for his family's sake. I did a video about Justin's case over on my other channel, Michelle Walks, a little while ago now. But where these remains were found is very close, about 20 minutes drive from where Justin's vehicle was found. So the remains have been found down here somewhere on Morley Road, and Justin's vehicle was recovered from this area here. And his family have been out of their minds. They just want closure. His dad, Ken, has been out there every day, driving around, looking for any sign of Justin. And investigators have searched quite a wide area, but nothing until the remains were found a couple of days ago. So just a little bit about Justin's case. July 7th, 2024, around 11 p.m. local time, Justin was last seen at a gas station in North Sydney. Appears on the store's security camera, but then his vehicle is found 25 kilometres away in the Ormond Crescent area of Myra Road. Now, there have been people charged in this case. In December 2024, police charged Mitchell George McPhee, 38, with manslaughter and with the robbery and assault of another man. Shortly after that, there was Ryan Joseph Pike, 36, was charged with second-degree murder and robbery. And then, just to top the year off, on December 31st, Aaron Curtis Mickey, 45, was charged with second-degree murder, robbery, and 4 firearms-related offences. Those cases are still going through the courts. This is Justin's family, and I just want to play this short clip.
It was on this rural Cape Breton road that human remains were found by a person walking in the area at around 5 p.m. on Monday. As police continue their investigation, Ken MacDonald is staying close by. His 34-year-old son, Justin MacDonald, has been missing for almost a year, and he's been searching every day since.
With this find, we're just hoping. We can't say anything definitive because of the forensic situation, but we're hopeful that it may be him.
Police declared MacDonald's disappearance a homicide in November. 2 men have been charged with second-degree murder, robbery, and assault in the case. 1 other man was charged with manslaughter and robbery.
I don't know if you can say it's kind of like a horror story, and it just hasn't stopped. It's kind of been so repetitive over the last 323 days it is now. Knowing that, Justin's been missing, he's been somewhere. Knowing that he's no longer with us and still having to search has been probably one of the hardest situations a family ever would have to endure.
Part of the Morley Road here was closed for public access today. Police say they will remain on scene for a few days yet as their investigation continues. They did decline an interview request today, only saying they'll provide more information once it becomes available. A forensic identification unit was still at the scene on Tuesday and is working with the medical examiner's office to identify the remains. MacDonald's family is hoping for closure.
That's absolutely a necessity for the family to be able to bring Justin home and take him to where he belongs and put him to rest.
His parents are hoping the search is finally over and say they'll comment when they know more.
So if you want to know the full story, then go and check out my video on Justin's case on my other channel, Michelle Walks. And if you don't know that I've got a second channel, well, I do. It's called Michelle Walks. So if you like this channel and you want more of the same, then go over and subscribe there, Michelle Walks. I'll leave a link to it in the cards, which will appear on the top right hand of your screen. That's if YouTube chooses to put it on, because they don't always. But the link to it is in the description box of every single video and every single live stream. Okay, let's move over to Lilly and Jack's case. Now, the RCMP have spoken and they've said that no new searches are planned for Lilly and Jack. No new searches are planned. Now, you know, if you've been following the case, Lilly and Jack were reported missing around 10 a.m. on Friday, May 2nd. There was an intensive search for 6 days. That's including May 2nd. So I guess you would say 5.5 days by the time searchers got on the ground. But on May 7th, at a press conference, the cops said because of the much reduced chance of Lilly and Jack being recovered alive, they were scaling back in favour of more investigation. Okay, they did do another couple of days, the 17th and 18th of May. I've got my dates right there, but it was not last weekend, the weekend before. And they found nothing, no sign, nothing. There was a potential footprint found on the natural gas pipe, which is a little bit of a distance away from their home. But there's no evidence that that was Lilly and Jack. Dogs didn't alert to it. What concerns me is the lack of scent. There's bound to be scent on the property because they live there. But it concerns me that dogs didn't get a scent at all in the woods. That concerns me, as far as we know at least. It also concerns me that there's a number of inconsistencies in the timeline that the parents have given. It concerns me about the inconsistencies of Daniel, the stepdad. It concerns me that the mother, Malia, left the day after they went missing. Now, her family were told to leave because they were blaming Daniel. The children's biological father's side are also blaming both Malia and Daniel. And I've got to say, I don't want to cast aspersions. I don't want to lay blame where it may not be warranted, but I do have concerns about this case. And I have since the beginning. Since the very beginning. I don't like it when a timeline is in jeopardy. I don't like it when somebody says, I did this here, and you find out they didn't do this here. That bothers me a lot. That's all I'm going to say at this current time, but did they wander away? I really don't know. It's possible. Of course it's possible. Of course it is. Kids do the darndest things. The lack of scent, that bothers me. It really bothers me. And I've got loads of videos on this channel about dog searches across various cases, but I did one a few days ago on this case. So there are reasons why there may not be a scent, but no, don't like it. Do not like it. Now, abduction. A lot of people think that abduction's possible, and it is. Of course it is. I don't believe that anybody would come into their backyard and abduct them from their backyard if they went out to play in the backyard. There's nobody that would walk past the trailer with the RV right there where Daniel's mother and brother live, even if they're not in. I was an abductor to know that. I would an abductor to know that Daniel and Malay were asleep. There's just too many risks, and apparently Daniel's mother has a dog. I haven't seen the dog. I don't know what breed the dog is. I don't know where the dog lives. He or she lives in the RV, or whether he or she lives outside. I don't know. But, nah, I don't think they were abducted from the yard. Now, if Lilly and Jack tried to go to school, that's indeed if they went missing on the Friday morning. That's another story. But if they tried to go to school, if Lilly was coming in the room because she wanted to get ready for school, what if they set off for school and went down the driveway, waited for the bus, They didn't really know the time the bus came. They missed the bus. They waited a while and then they started to walk, thinking that they could walk to school. Well, anything could have happened at that point. They could have been picked up on Gaylord Road. I think it's a good possibility that they may have tried to go to school. So they're not in the woods at all. But I just can't shake the possibility that some kind of foul play has happened here. I think there's something more to this case that we don't know about. Anyway, the RCMP said, this is RCMP spokesperson Corporal Corley McCann said on Tuesday, the work to find Lilly and Jack remains very active with a full complement of resources, tools and many investigators engaged to determine the circumstances of their disappearance. There are no planned air and ground searches at this time. Any further searches will be determined based on the investigation. She wouldn't comment on whether the force has used polygraphs as part of their interviews in the investigation. Any of the investigative techniques that are being applied and used aren't going to be part of any information that we release to the public at this time, she said. So they're still remaining tight-lipped. It is a little bit heartbreaking that they're not going to plan any more searches. Certainly not in the near future. I did get the feeling that the searches on the 17th and 18th of May were a final last-ditch effort, but in favour of other investigative techniques. What, collecting surveillance cameras? Yeah, great. A property owned by Melissa Scott, a neighbour from 3 miles away. May 20th, they finally went to get her trail cams, of which she's got a 40-acre property, 7 trail cams on the property. I'm sorry, that's not good enough. I mean, look, they've probably collected the surveillance cameras and any trail cam footage from neighbours closer already. But the thing that gets me is if they've not done a full sweep and a full analysis of the surveillance cameras in the area, how could they say right from the jump that there was no signs of an abduction? How would they know that if they'd not even investigated the possibility? How would they know that the family were telling the truth about their whereabouts if they'd not looked at things like surveillance cameras, as many as is available? I mean, look, it's a very rural area. How can you say that there's no abduction? Now, look, a retired police detective has commented to Global News and said, this is a big statement. So let's listen to this news piece here.
They gave you a clue when they said no abduction. That's a big statement to make at this early in the game.
It's been 24 days since Lilly and Jack Sullivan were reported missing from their home in Lansdowne Station. Family members have speculated the children were taken, but police have remained adamant they do not believe the siblings were abducted. According to Nova Scotia's recently updated policing standards, abduction is defined as when a person under 18 years of age or a vulnerable person is taken without the permission of their legal guardian. Jim Hoskins is a retired HRP officer and former major crimes staff sergeant. Despite not working the Sullivan case himself or being privy to any information regarding RCMP's ongoing investigation, he can see only 2 remaining possibilities.
What I see from the outside, there's only 2 options here. Criminal involvement, search, they haven't found them yet. They legitimately got lost in the woods. I felt, okay, let's give them a couple of days to see if these kids are just wandered off, because they're only 6 and 4. So are they lost? They'll find them, maybe. If not, let's see how far it goes. And I says, and if it goes beyond 2 or 3 days, uh-oh. That was my reaction. What's next? Uh-oh.
A feeling felt across the province that could be driving public obsession with this case.
Canada in 2024, there were just over 30,000 cases of missing children. The vast majority of those cases involve runaways or they involve teens. And actually about 90% of those cases are resolved within a 1-week period. So
those are useful statistics, and that's true across the board. The vast majority of cases of missing children are solved very quickly. Most are actually solved within a few hours, but 90% within a week. And most cases are solved quickly because they're runaways. They're teenagers who voluntarily left their home. Like in the case of Sebastian Rogers from Tennessee, 15 years old when he disappeared. I believe he left his home voluntarily. Very different, though, when it's small children Yes, small children do wander away. Yes, they do wander further than you think sometimes. They absolutely do. So could Lilly and Jack have walked out of the search area? Yes. They may be out there somewhere lying deceased and just been missed, or they've managed to get past the search area if they've taken a certain route that didn't involve them going through the really dense areas in the woods. Absolutely possible. Like I said, though, I've had concerns from the beginning. And it seems that this retired detective is thinking along the lines that I've been since the beginning as well.
Time cases deviate from that, right? I think that is going to draw in the public. And of course, there's the public's desire to see it resolved.
Although Stevens cannot comment on individual cases, she says when children in particular go missing, this tends to be harder for the public to digest.
It taps into a lot of the fears that, for example, parents might hold about the safety of their children. But it's really important to remember that of those, for example, 30,000 cases, about 0.1% were cases of like a stranger parental abduction.
Despite rumors online of criminal motives and cover-ups, Lilly and Jack's stepfather, Daniel Martel, has refuted all claims of his involvement, offering to take a polygraph test. And Hoskins says there's still a chance the children are close by.
You can't write it off and say they're definitely not in the woods. I can still say you can get overlooked. You can overlook bodies.
Searchers were back in the woods near the home a week ago, but there have been no significant updates since. In all his years as a police officer, Hoskins says what strikes him most is the probability of something like this happening.
It's bizarre. If you ask me what was bizarre, I'd say, in this case, 2 with this particular family. 2 are gone.
Ella MacDonald, Global News.
Yeah, the fact that siblings are gone. There have been abductions in the past where 2 people have been abducted at the same time. The Beaumont children from Australia, the Adelaide Oval abductions of a 4-year-old and an 11-year-old friends. Abby and Libby, 13 and 14 from Indiana, abducted together, murdered together. Cousins, Lyric and Elizabeth from 2012. I bet there's more. It does happen that 2 kids are abducted at the same time. Stranger abductions are thankfully rare. So it happens, of course it does. As it happened in this case, though, again, the fact that RCMP said that there's no sign of an abduction from the jump, I'd be happy to go with that. I'd be happy to believe them if I knew that they'd collected the surveillance cameras from at least the immediate vicinity. Every camera that they could get, particularly from the road. If it's an abduction, they're going to have been gone in a vehicle, haven't they? But I don't know, you guys. Either it is a wandering away scenario or it's foul play, in my opinion. But let me know what you think in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys.